Hello everyone and welcome to Services Classes. This is Ashmita. In today's class, we are going to talk about the UPSC question paper that happened, this examination that happened in the year 2022, means this year, the latest one. And it took place in the month of June, and we are here with the explanation as well as the answer key at Services Classes. So here I'm going to solve 5 questions in each of my videos so that you can just follow it in an elaborate manner. Now, why am I not including all the questions is because I want you all to know all these questions in elaborate manner, okay, in a detailed way, in descriptive manner. Otherwise, it's really like useless to discuss only the answers and leave the explanation for you all to find out. So here we are going to just discuss, and if you have any kind of queries, you can just comment down below and just ask us. We are going to help you out with all the queries down there. All right, so let's start with the UPSC question paper for the year 2022, and this is for paper 1. Paper 1, that is, we call it this general studies paper. Yes, today we are going to solve from question number 86 till 90. All right. Let's start with the first question, which says, which one of the following statements best reflects the issue with Senkaku Islands sometimes mentioned in the news? Okay, let's start discussing with the statements which are provided. It is generally believed that they are artificial islands made by a country around South China Sea. Now, over here, what we are going to discuss is that which of the following options are correct, okay? And definitely we need to choose only one option from here. So let me tell you something about this Senkaku Islands, or you can also call it the Diao Islands, okay? Diao Islands dispute is there. So this country of Japan and the country of China, they claim all the uninhabited lands which are known like combined state. They are known as the Senkaku in Japan and Diaoyu in China as their own. Like they have named the Senkaku Islands in their own names. But you see, Japan has administered them since the year 1972. Okay, and the Senkaku or the Diaoyu Islands were formally claimed by Japan in the year 1895. And after Japan's defeat in the Second World War, the island chain was controlled by the US, that is the United States, until the year 1971, before its return. And since then, Japan has administered the island chains. And China began to reassert the claims over the Senkaku or the Diaoyu Islands in the 1970s, like citing historic rights to the area. However, we can see that Japan does not recognize the Chinese claims, and more recently, there has been a flare up in this region. And the Japanese government said on the last Thursday, like if you have seen the news, that it had protested to China regarding a set of names which recently were assigned by Beijing to the seabed zones in the East China Sea, like including the Senkaku or the Diaoyu Islands. So obviously, number A is wrong. What about number B? China and Japan engage in maritime disputes over these islands in East China Sea. Yes, this one is correct. So number B1 is correct. I'm not considering these the last two options because definitely it's absolutely wrong. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm going to talk about the dispute a little in a little bit more detailed way. That is, this dispute between this China and Japan is over the claim of these Senkaku Islands, which have been controlled by the Japanese since the year 1895. And you see, but however, in between the years 1945 to 1972, these islands were administered by the United States. So in the year 1971, the US handed over the authority to Japan. In 1971, the US handed over the authority to Japan, and this island chain, which was claimed by China, Taiwan, and Japan, is made up of five islets, and there are three barren rocks covering an area of around 7 square kilometers. So that's it. Your correct answer would be number B. That's this one. Now let's move over to the next question. Now, question number 87. It says, consider the following pairs. The country is given on this side and important reason for being in the news recently. See, these questions are from the current affairs section. From the news they have given, mostly based on geography news, all right. Shad. Shad is in the news because of setting up of permanent military base by China. Number one, pair one is incorrect. What about Guinea? Why is it in the news? Because of suspension of constitution and government by military. Yes, this one is correct. Talking about the second point, the president of Guinea was detained after a successful military coup in the West African nation. All right, and this coup was reportedly led by the special task forces led by Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya. And this Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, he is the head of the Guinean Special Forces. Talking about the next pair, that is Lebanon and severe prolonged economic depression for which it is famous. Yes, it's correctly matched. Now, Lebanon's economy collapsed after it defaulted on about 31 billion of euro bonds in the year 2020 in the month of March. And with its currency like sinking more than 90% against the US dollar on the black market. So political bickering and indecision by the previous parliament forced the economy into a tailspin. And inflation in the country has continued to surge and reached like around 206% in April as the country elected a new parliament, which will have to put in place reforms to secure around $3 billion from the International Monetary Fund. Lebanon's economy contracted about 58% between the years 2019 and 2021, with gross domestic product, that's GDP, plummeting to like $21.8 billion in the year 2021 from about $52 billion in 2019, as told in the news by the World Bank. Okay. Now, the depression is among the world's worst economic collapses since the 1850s, and the Washington lender said this. Now, as told by the Washington lender in the month of January, the depression is among the worst economic collapses, we can say, since the year 1850s, and it's the largest contraction on a list of 193 countries. What about number four, Tunisia, and it's in the headlines because of suspension of parliament by the president. Yes, it's correct. Now, Tunisia's president, that is Kais Saied, on Monday, what he did, extended his months-long suspension of the parliament until the new elections in the month of December 2020, while calling for a July referendum on constitutional reforms. So you see, your correct answer would be, okay, the question that they have asked is how many pairs given above are correctly matched. So as far I can see, 3 pairs are correctly matched. So your answer would be number C, only 3 pairs are correctly matched. Let's move over to the next question now. Question number 88. Consider the following pairs. Region often mentioned in the news. Once again, they have talked about current affairs, and you need to follow the news channel a lot for these kind of questions. Very detailed questions they have given, and for that you really need to go through the news and newspapers a lot. Number one says Anatolia, and this is from the country Turkey. Next is Amhara. This is in Ethiopia. Next is Cabo Delgado. This is from Spain. Next is Catalonia. This is from Italy. Now, part one is correctly matched. Okay. Um, One of the great crossroads of the ancient civilization is a broad peninsula that lies between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. Now, this is called Asia Minor or the Lesser Asia by the Romans. And the land is the Asian part of modern Turkey across Thrace. Now, it lies across the Aegean Sea to the east of Greece and is usually known by its ancient name, that is Anatolia. Okay, so that is why they have talked about Anatolia, which is in Turkey. Second one says Amhara, and which is in Ethiopia. Yes, this one is correct. The previous one is also correct. Number three is talking about Cabo Delgado, which is in Spain. No, this one is incorrectly matched. Cabo Delgado is in Mozambique. All right, instead of Spain, it should be in Mozambique. All right. Next, it's Catalonia. Catalonia is not in Italy, it's in Spain. All right, it's in Spain. So over here we can see, okay, let's read the question. How many pairs given above are correctly matched? We can see only two pairs are correctly matched. So number B is your correct option. Let's move over to question number 89. Question number 89 says, with reference to Indian laws about wildlife protection, consider the following statements. Number one says wild animals are the sole property of the government. Yes, of course. Why are we considering this? This is because in a significant verdict, the Bombay High Court has ruled that wild animals, including tigers, should be treated as government property for all purposes, and any damage caused by them should be compensated by the government itself. What about the second statement? It says when a wild animal is declared protected, such animals entitled for equal protection, whether it is found in protected areas or outside. Now, obviously, this one is also correct. The law governing the subject of wildlife, this Wildlife Protection Act, we can say, which was passed in the year 1972, does not in any case discriminate between the animals found in protected areas and animals found outside those protected areas. So it provides for equal protection for wild animals irrespective of where they are found. Now, talking about number three statement, apprehension of a protected wild animal becoming a danger to human life is sufficient ground for its capture or killing. Now, no, this is incorrect. It's because only if the wild animal becomes a danger to human life or is diseased or disabled beyond recovery, and it can be allowed to then only it can be allowed to be captured or killed by the competent authority. That is by the chief wildlife warden of the state. They can capture them. This provision is only applicable to the wild animals listed in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, which includes the leopards. And mere apprehension or fear that a wild animal could endanger human life is not a ground for any kind of capture or killing of these animals. So, of course, your number 1 and 2 will go. So, number A is your correct option. Okay. Let's move over to the last question for today's class. That's question number 90. question number 90 says certain species of which of the following organisms are well known as cultivators of fungi? A well-known cultivator of fungi is ant. All right. Now, fungi and insects are two hyperdiverse groups of fungi and like insects are two hyper-diverse groups of organisms that have interacted for millennia. And over time, some insects have come to rely on fungi for a variety of resources, like including room, board, um, and so on. Then we are talking about the ants. We have marked ants over here. Now, ants, then wasps, then beetles, and a variety of other insects have adapted to using fungi primarily for reinforcing the structures or as sources of food. So, with the most extreme examples, like resulting in cultivation of fungal crops. Now, chief among these examples are the mushroom farming ants and the termites, and the wood boring beetles and the wasps. Alright, so that's your correct answer, and that was the entire discussion for today's class. Let's meet once again with a continuation of the questions of UPSC paper 1 in our other classes. Do follow the series of videos to get the whole explanation as well as for the correct answer key. That's it for today's class. Once again, we are going to meet in our other classes.